I went outside this morning and noticed that it is freezing outside, but no, it is not because it is wintertime, but because Trae Young is ice cold, because this guy is incredible. Buzzer beater to beat the Jazz. Well, it wasn't in overtime. It was actually to stop or keep from going into overtime. Trae Young has definitely delivered for this team night in and night out. And I got to say, I'm proud of him. I'm simply proud of him. I didn't think that I would say anything to that such this season, but I am ultimately proud of Trae Young. And I'm telling you now, this is awesome because last night we definitely needed that win. It's no secret that the Atlanta Hawks have been struggling on this road trip that they've been on. Okay, now they're 1-3. They've lost, 3 games, of course, but they won this last one versus the Utah Jazz, which is incredible. It's just great. Yes, the team was 9-25, but I also do believe that sometimes the record just doesn't show how good and scrappy a team is. So today we've got to talk about, of course, last night's game versus the Utah Jazz. We also have to talk about an interesting, trade proposal, not trade proposal, but one that I was reading up on. It was somebody's name that was mentioned that I was like, okay, I could see how that could possibly flow along with the Hawks. And then we also got to give Trae Young his flowers again, because not only did he hit the buzzer beater last night to save the Hawks from going into overtime, but Trae also hit a couple other milestones, as well as he is these last 5 games, he's just been all over the place. So listen, I just want to give Trae Young his flowers and definitely just say thanks, man, because listen, the Hawks, they're doing well, they're doing great, and before this February 6th deadline, it will be interesting to see if or who they would bring in. But other than that, I am just happy with the result of last night's game, because I ain't gonna lie, when we lose, I'm down. Just flat out, I'm down. As a fan, I am down. And just to be completely honest, just give you guys a temperature check of the Atlanta area right now. It is tough. Okay, the Falcons, the football team, they've been eliminated from the playoffs, so that's very depressing. So we need somebody or some team to lift the Atlanta folks' spirits. And the Atlanta Hawks are actually doing just that. But let me go ahead and stop right there and let me say what's going on, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta Hawks Digest. My name is Walter Pollard, and we're going to go ahead and dive right into it, because this was awesome, man. Listen, we got to go over this game review, and let me just go ahead and bring it up just once again. There's no secret that the Atlanta Hawks are having struggles during this time, and I think I'm starting to figure out what it is. As a matter of fact, I have some evidence to support the claim that it's really been more so just the Atlanta Hawks have having a tough time on this road trip due to the bigs. One of the biggest things that the Atlanta Hawks have been battling with is whether or not they should trade not Onyeka Okongwu, but his name has been mentioned, as well as Clint Capela. Not those two together, but individually, they would think maybe we'll deal Clint Capela off with a trade proposal or a cluster of guys from the Atlanta Hawks, or maybe Onyeka Okongwu, which has an extremely high upside, who we would possibly go after more high-end people. So, of course, those names have been mixed around, but I just wanted to point out how, a lot of the bigs in the West, the Atlanta Hawks have had a hard time with. Zubac, he had a great game. I think it was 18-18. Jokic, he hit another milestone with a triple-double versus the Hawks. AD was doing a really good job for the Lakers on the inside versus the Atlanta Hawks. So, again, Atlanta, their front court has had a very tough time, okay? Being outscored these last 2 games, 150-94. So as you can see, it has been a very tough job for the Atlanta Hawks in this process, if you will. But nonetheless, the Atlanta Hawks have been doing well. They have been, trying to get themselves going. Now, going into last night's game, again, the Atlanta Hawks, they needed to get a win. You know what I'm saying? They were 18-18 prior to last night's game. But, of course, they got the W And just going into last night's game, of course, the Atlanta Hawks had, 7 guys in double figures. Trae Young, he had 24 points. Zaccharie Risacher, 14 points. 6 rebounds. You dig what I'm saying? Also, too, not to forget, Trae Young also had 20 assists to go along with his 24 points. So that's also awesome. Vit Krejci was in on the starting lineup due to the fact that Jalen Johnson was not available. Vit Krejci showed up with 13 points. Dyson Daniels, he of course has 16 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals. And listen, the Great Barrier Thief is doing what he is supposed to do. Clint Capela added another 18 points along with that. DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan Bogdanović both, of course, have been coming off the bench. DeAndre Hunter, I feel as though he's moving more so into the 6-man role. Of course, he showed up with another 17 points last night. And then, of course, Bogdan Bogdanović, he, of course, had 11 points last night. And the thing about last night's game versus the Utah Jazz, it wasn't the fact that the game was too close or whatnot, but the shooting. The Atlanta Hawks, of course, had a very tough time early on trying to connect. Even at one point, the Atlanta Hawks were 8 for 20 shooting behind the arc. So that was just tough. But again, to combat that, 7 players in double figures definitely helps out a lot. And then Trae Young with the assist. So that just tells me, of course, the Atlanta Hawks, they're possessing the ball. They have the ball in their hands. And for Trae Young to distribute it to the guys and create more points, create more opportunities for them to be up in this game. And then not only just that, you know, there were moments in the game that the Atlanta Hawks were up by a number of 16 points or whatnot. So they had opportunities to possibly put the game out of reach early. But this team is scrappy. Okay, let's not forget there's Collin Sexton on this team. And I have watched Collin Sexton since high school. And this guy is intense. And to see how he goes, it's just an awesome feeling. But let me show you guys the clip last night. Of course, Collin Sexton, of course, got the ball on a loose tip, hits the three-pointer. Everybody's thinking we're going into overtime. Trae Young just says, give the ball to me. And right in front of Collin Sexton, knocks down a three-pointer behind, what was it, half court? Major job. Good job by Trae Young. And again, we are extremely happy that he was able to do that. We needed to see something like that, okay? We need to see something like that. Again, these guys are on a West Coast road trip. You know, tomorrow night they're going to be taking on the Phoenix Suns. So we need to see something to get the spirits back up, okay? Things have been getting a little dicey, if you will, in regards to just losing and, you know, going into these types of situations. You guys, please forgive me, my voice, but we'll get through this. Okay, so going into last night's game, I did notice that there was a specific player that had been consistently mentioned. Okay, he had been consistently mentioned. He had been brought up in multiple conversations. And this is somebody that I feel as though, as I read up on him, and I'm going to continue to read up on him, is Walker Kessler. And I got this first I got the name as a comment. First, I got the name Walker Kessler as a comment under my stories. One of the fans, of course, said he would like to see Walker Kessler and Collin Sexton come down to Atlanta. And so I was wondering, I was intrigued, definitely wanted to see how that would formulate and things of that such. So, of course, I'm just bringing up Walker Kessler, and I want to bring up a statistic really quickly. And this is from Soaring Down South. This is what they said about Walker Kessler. Kessler, a 23-year-old Atlanta native, that is something I did not know, is averaging 10.4 points, 11.3 rebounds, and 1 assist per game this season. Most encouragingly, though, he is averaging 2 blocks per game for the 3rd straight season to start his career, and has even added the slight threat of a 3-point ball to his arsenal. So what I understand to be true in regards to Walker Kessler is that he does add a specific value, I would say, you know, to Atlanta and to the Atlanta Hawks, you know, and then on top of that, going over what the trade would even look like. It looks as if Cody Zeller, Onyeka Okongwu, and a possibly 2025 first round draft pick that is owned by the Lakers that would go to the Utah Jazz as well. So again, and then, of course, on the flip side, the Atlanta Hawks will receive Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton, something that I had mentioned once before. So I do believe that this is going around not because somebody wants this to happen or somebody feels as though this is interesting or intriguing, but this makes sense. I kind of like the idea. And if we want to make the deal spicier, instead of sending somebody like Cody Zeller, well, no, we want to send Cody Zeller, but instead of doing something like giving away the pick that is allotted to the LA Lakers or whatnot, because I've seen that dangled around so many different times, what would make sense to me is if we would offer up someone like an Onyeka Okongwu, which we don't want to do, or you could even be interesting enough to say, hey, we would offer up DeAndre Hunter, because DeAndre Hunter has been playing lights out, and I do feel as though if you add him to the mix, teams would be more prone to offer up what it is that they, don't want to give away. Because, of course, as I've been reading along, it doesn't show that the Utah Jazz are interested or looking to trade away Cody Zeller. But if the Hawks are intentional and if the Hawks plan on making a push for him, would make sense. I think it would make, pretty much, make some sense. Really quickly, I want to shift gears really quickly, guys. Make sure that you all are voting. Please, 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 please vote, because I'm telling you right now, Jalen Johnson needs to make this all-star team, okay? I'm hearing about the new format. 4 different teams, single game elimination. So I have to see these guys in the playoff, in the All-Star game. And then, too, make sure that you are voting for DeAndre Hunter. Again, I feel as though he could possibly make a run for the Sixth Man of the Year award. Guy's been coming off the bench, averaging 20 points or 25 points and 5 assists per game. So, again, I feel as though it would make a lot of sense for you guys to make sure that you guys are voting and getting these guys in, because it is imperative that we get these guys in. But nonetheless, I wanted to make sure that I gave Trae Young his flowers. And why do you say that? I feel as though Trae Young deserves his flowers because of one, in the beginning of the season, I won't say I wasn't fond of Trae Young, but I was unsure of him. I wasn't sure if he wanted to stay. I wasn't sure if he wanted to leave. I wasn't sure if he was going to try to get the team to force, he was going to try to force the team to a trade. But fortunately, I feel as though maybe my words might have had some help with it. But I told these guys to start fast, stay fast, and finish strong. And no, we're not going to win every game, but you see that there is a valiant effort. You see that these guys are making a solid push to try to win more games and get out of the play-in tournament situation. So I bring up Trae Young just in regards to that because, again, Trae Young, he deserves his flowers, okay? And I'm going to bring up Trae Young because the last 5 games have been stellar, okay? Averaging about, 20 points. I want to say the first 2 games, of course, he had to do a lot offensively. And as you can see, the more that his points go up, as you can see, it's up in the 30s, game 1, 2, and 3. 34, 30 points, and 33 points. So you can see that Trae Young's productivity offensively goes up. But when he's able to distribute the ball, when he's able to get the ball in other people's hands, when he's able to give opportunities to his other teammates, he's unstoppable. 20 assists, 14 assists in the last 2 games. So again, Trae Young is doing what he is supposed to do. And I would beg for the Atlanta Hawks to make sure that they do everything that they can leading up to the February 6th trade deadline to make sure that not only he stays in Atlanta, but make sure that we win with him and possibly can compete for an NBA championship. I just had to give Trae Young his flowers because the last 5 games he's been doing a really good job. And then not to mention the dude is doing it on a bum Achilles. So with all that being said, I'm ultimately super proud of this team. Definitely you can hear it in my voice when they win. I'm excited when they lose. I'm kind of down. But the point that I want to make before I let you guys go is the fact that February 6th is on its way. We need to make sure that they're either going to make a move or find a way to strengthen this team up so that they can get ready for the playoff push. Two, the second thing I want to make sure that I mention that if we are going to trade for somebody, let's make it worth our while. Let's not go and shoot for the moon for somebody that doesn't make sense, ergo and Anthony Edwards. But if we could get somebody like a Walker Kessler, like a Colin Sexton, and get those guys in to help bolster our team and help our team get into another position or, get to a better position in the playoffs, then let's do it. But all that being said, my name is Walter Pollard. This is Atlanta Hawks Digest, and I will see you guys later. Peace.